Hello, everyone. As I'm just a random person that's going to be speaking about many topics, but because I've seen many things that have been going on, especially in Africa, and also what our brother Ibrahim Traore has been doing. A lot of us look at what he's doing, but the question is, are we actually doing something to help our brother? It doesn't have to always be, we're up in arms to always do something physically, but supporting our brother, whether it be social, depending on where we are in the world and what we're doing. But I've noticed a lot of things with us as a people is that we're very good talkers and we're side jumpers, as I call it. What I mean by that is that once we see a movement and a strong enough movement, we do two things. In the initial stages of the movement, just like when he was coming out, you hardly saw the support, anything on social media, what people were saying to help the brother. And what we do, we're sideliners. So we spectate, and then we look and toward and say, let's see what this brother's doing. We wait, we watch, we say okay, and then but we don't partake. And then you have some of us who are Africans who hate ourselves and don't want to associate with Africa, and will say, well, I'm not African, so I don't need to associate with that. So that's my ancestors, that's far away, that's something I don't need to be part of. And then after that, then you'll have the ones who are the sideliners. They'll say, I'm just gonna wait and see what happens because we don't know this brother. Something can happen to his brother, and because we know the white power structure, white supremacy can catch him. So we'll just wait. Then you have the freedom fighters that will say, I support this brother. We're there. We're for him. So then what happens is that once the brother, or sorry, our brother Ibrahim, or any African leader progresses, and then they start to see that progression, then what happens is those ones that are, let's say they're not African descent, they move up to become sideliners, and then those sideliners become I'm African, and so on. You see how it goes by step ladder, but because we have such a brainwashed mentality of for us to hate ourselves, because remember, imagery plays a positive role. So what we've been taught as children, as Jesus is white, and anything that's white is amazing, beautiful. So when we're taught all these things, then we think that's the best path to go on. Even when people want to come to North America, Europe, and don't want to come to Africa, it's imagery. So now the brother's presenting a positive imagery, and that's what they want. They don't want you to be looking at is the imagery, and the positive imagery the brother's doing is progressing Burkina Faso, and same with Mali, same with Niger, and same with other African countries who are doing. So they want the media creates a propaganda where they say that it's bad, they're negative, and then they refer back to the coup or they refer back to whichever. The question is, why did they coup them? What was their reason? And then you look at what we keep missing is that France wants. They say they want the ex president of Burkina Faso back, and they're like begging basically Burkina Faso for these things. So when we look at that, then he must have had a role with France to play in that role of why Burkina Faso was before. So back to the topic with the African, that's the sideliner, is that once now I'm seeing Burkina Faso is jumping, moving forward. Everyone that was African. Everyone that was like, oh, Africa's moving. As the same people who are downing Africa or say that they don't want to be associated. It's just like when you had Russia with the Jesus, and the Jesus came out, and when Russia says Jesus was of African descent, now you see everyone jumping on all in arms because of what the Russians, who are, well, they're not European, but they're not, it's like they're mixed because they have Mongolian and other different genetics of different cultures in them. So when someone who's non-African say something to you, then we jump for joy. But then even if an African has to fight tooth and nail to get where he's going, to move where he's going, and then to present a positive imagery to everyone, then that's when people jump on the boat. But most of us, we don't. A lot of us don't join movements. We become the spectators, or we become the ones waiting to see what happens. If honestly, if he lives or dies, that's basically what it is. And slavery should have taught us a big thing because they're doing the exact same thing. is that they want to make sure that they take out your leader, so you fear them, continually fear them, and then you don't want to do a single thing. So it makes you just then you're stuck in both ways. You're cornered. So when they take you out, then you don't then you say, okay, that you live in fear. But when they give you everything, saying that, oh, no, you don't have to build any manufacturing companies, you don't have to build anything, we'll take care of it for you. And then you'll be so reliant on these people. So that's our problem. That's from one of our problems in the stages of one of our problems of what we do, is that we don't look at these things collectively, and we're not looking at these things in a better understanding where we need to put ourselves in a better position. We need to help out Africa. We need to help out our brother. We need to help out movements that are moving. And if we don't, then he's standing alone with sorry, he's standing alone with certain just only certain individuals that are helping him. So what is it we are doing? And that's the question we should ask ourselves. What is it we are doing to help contribute and to help move these things and put these things forward? Because it's very important that right now we live in a world where economically, things are shifting. If you notice, the powers of shifting, even what happened in the Chinese incident with the Chinese clothes and say how much that you pay for it and buy for it, it's changing. And as you see, is with the wars, with everything that's going on, everything is economically shifting. Honestly, it takes 1 to 2 African countries to bankrupt most of the West. And that's the part we're not understanding. It's economics, and economics plays an important role, but also trade. So if Africa had manufacturing companies, then Africa would be doesn't need to rely on the West. So I always urge African leaders, African presidents, to build manufacturing companies, to take your gold mines back, to take the things that you need to take back, and try to build within. Obviously, there's gonna be challenges and some maybe hard times ahead, but we need to endure and suffer the hard times because we've been so babied and also been laid on like a pillow. Sorry, not laid on, but we've been put like on a high pedestal where we don't have to do anything. So we're soft as a pillow, which I meant to say. And the problem with that is that we don't want to do anything, so we rely on someone else or a non-African to be a savior. So I always urge African leaders to build within their country. We endure the times, but also I look at the people to support the leader that wants to build the country. Because when they want to build the country, then we'll progress. Because if you look at a lot of countries that are built today, the U.S. in the 1950s when they had the war, Germany, even what happened, and then even what they call Jews, they built from when they didn't have anything. Russia, the same thing. A lot of countries were ahead of these countries, U.S., China, in the 50s and 40s, when around with Kwame Nkrumah, and all the other African leaders that were around, Africa was a lot farther and a lot advanced. So, but these countries, what they did in that time is that they took charge of their country by saying, "Okay, guys, we're going to endure the hard times, but in the end, it's like an investment. We're going to progress and we're going to get out of it." Look at Russia. Russia is one of the most powerful countries into this day. So, and look at the U.S. Everyone endured their time, but even right now, we're in a different time. So everything is going fast because technology is going fast. So we need to, if we endure, it could be honestly, it could be about 3 to 5 years, not even. And in those 3 to 5 years, you'll see the progression, and then you'll see what's happening because all what's based on why our currencies are low is because of we're not progressing. We're not building the manufacturing companies. We're not doing proper trade. We're not building our own trade routes or our own trade companies, big corporations. You can't have other people coming into your country to build their manufacturing or any of their businesses. They're not helping you out. They may give you entertainment that you think that can help you in your mind and that can progress you somewhere, but working for them is no different than working in Canada, the United States for other people. You're only progressing their objectives, you're only progressing what they want to do, and that's what they want you to do, is to progress them and their culture. Because remember, every business has a culture. And so every business of what the name is. Look at Tesla. Tesla is run by Elon Musk. He's South African, but his descent is European. He's more helping out the European power structure. If you look at a lot of businesses with the names, always look at the name brand. It's a name based on their country, or they take that name from something else, like Equinox, or like the car Equinox, or Toyota. These are Asian cars. Honda. They're helping out that culture, which in a sense there's trade, but for Africans, if you don't discover to make your own things and to make your own corporations, then these people are always going to run the narrative with you from your TV, from your phone, from your cars, from everything, and that way your country cannot progress in the sense where you're building capital or your GDP is getting higher and your gross domestic product and what you're trading towards other countries. So why I go off on those narratives is because it all associates with each other. And going back to what Ibrahim Traore is doing, he all those things I've just mentioned is what he is doing to push that narrative forward. And if we don't push our narrative forward, then everyone else is going to come into Africa, going to come, and they're not having the interest for African interests. They're going to take that same wealth, and what's what they do? They come to your country, take your wealth, and bring it back to their country. Because if they were helping your country so much in any kind of way, then they would put money into the system and would be also fighting, not fighting, but also would let the government know that there's a problem in the country that they're in. Even if they're born there, they don't help you out. If you notice, they all congregate with each other. Most of the non-Africans in Africa trade or buy with each other. They may buy from you, but they're buying from you to see how your story is, to observe what your story is all about, and to see how and what you do so they can make it better, to sell it better. That's what they call in the West mystery shopping. The mystery shoppers come in to see, but also then you have people who want to compete with you, but they come into your stores and look at your prices. So they'll sell it, and we all know that we say that other cultures sell it 10 cents lower, or lower by 10% or whichever. That's because they come in and they observe you. But ask yourself, do a lot of them shop at your stores? Because they know if they shop at your stores, the economics in your community will circulate. So that means they're contributing to your economy. So country that has non-Africans in there, they're establishing their own economy because they're circulating their money in their own economy. They may have to contribute to the system by mandatory products or mandatory licenses or anything, but majority they are contributing to their own community and their own economy. Every community in your country is an economy, just like even North America. Every community is an economy, and they make sure they support each other culturally, religiously, educationally, and also but also financially. So whenever they go to school, and then we've heard that a lot of them teach their children in schools, and in their own schools on the weekends. It's because they want to maintain their culture and preserve their culture, so when they go out to other countries, that they have that culture in their mind, and it doesn't tear that away, but also to look at commitment to their culture. So what our brother is doing is that we need to help him. And it's just like there's a quote that I just passed, and that what he said is that Africa's a poor country. They'll call Africa a poor country, but when you tell them to leave, they won't leave. So we have to start looking at the narrative. Everything is the opposite in what certain non-African cultures say, and also what Europe is also saying about Africa, is that they'll tell you Africa's poor. In the West, they'll tell you Africa's poor. That means it's rich. How can a first world country or any of these first world countries be rich when you need a so-called third world country to power your so-called first world country? Because I know if the third world country pulled all their resources out and they said, okay, well, we're not going to sell it to you, or we're going to sell it to you higher, the first world country is going to get high. That's why we have inflation. You got to look at how economics works. Inflation is usually caused by, it's either two things. They make too much money, so they have to make the prices higher, or other countries are selling to them higher, or they're not getting as much from it as they can. So take the Congo, for instance. They produce coltan and cobalt. I guess those are things that make your cell phone, your laptops, and certain other things, TVs and other things. So if Congo decide to say, okay, we're going to sell the products higher or sell it to the same as what you buy from the Europeans or buy from other countries, it's going to be inflation. So what's going to happen is it's going to get higher because it's going to be set at a higher price. That's why when you have a trade war, a trade war between what's happening in the U.S. and China, it's going to get higher with us because we are trading the U.S. dollar, and in the U.S. dollar is that it's higher for African countries because if their money is so low, they have to trade the U.S. dollar. They have to pay either 10 times more, or however much compared to the U.S. dollar it is, 15 times more, or whichever. So that's why we're not getting anywhere as a people in our countries. So that's why our brother is changed the narrative where taking your gold back, taking all those things back, is that it creates from the GDP and also changes your currency to be better or even equivalent to what they call the US dollar. Because the US dollar is a fiat, it's not backed by really anything. It's backed by what I was told integrity. So there's no commodities that are back behind it. Gold, cobalt, bauxite, any of those resources or minerals that are available to us. And this is all the education that we need to learn as a people is to understand how these things work, how these things are brought forward. I don't want to go so much into it, which I will go on to my next chats, but it's important to trade with one another. It's important to surround yourself to help our brother. It's important to look at our countries, African and Caribbean countries, more so to help out our countries. Our leaders. I know there could be corrupt leaders. I'll say could, but because I'm just not gonna say it all flat out without proof, even though there could be proof. But we do have if we do have corrupt leaders, then our leaders should please make it better. And if we can make it better, you hold the power. Don't look at this paper money that's given to you, which they're the only reason why Europe or these countries are giving you this money is because they know that what you have, they got to give you something, and they know what they have is not anything. So what I always say to our leaders, corrupt or not, is that work with each other, trade with each other in Africa and the Caribbean. You hold majority of what the world needs from to empower the world. You hold the power. And it's up to you. If you whether you disregard my message, I'm just one person. But if you look at the reality, look at the resources you have. Ghana has the gold, Nigeria has the oil, Congo has the diamonds, the cobalt, the bauxite, and well, there's many other minerals and resources in those countries, but let's just look at the main resources. And just imagine those three countries can mostly bankrupt the whole world in a sense. I'm not saying those are the favorite African countries, but I'm just giving an example of what those countries are so called or known to the West or known to people. Those countries can really do a lot of damage. You see, they need you more than you need them. So I always try to say to our leaders, please work within, work with other organizations, work with other people, and make it. I wouldn't be afraid. They'll think you're a threat, just like they think Ibrahim Traore is a threat. What I'm seeing, and they want to treat him like a little child, telling him how to run his country. And that's what they like to do. As soon as you stand up as a man, you can't be a man in white supremacy. Because what they do is try to shut you down or talk to you like a child and say, well, you shouldn't be doing this. You can't do that. Look at what France did to Ibrahim Traore, tried to treat him like a little boy. And then he stands up like a man, so that's what they want to tear the image down of him, so you can't rise to be a man. The time now has changed. Social media is prevalent and it can be used in any type of way. But the time now for us is to rise and to start doing something. Stop being afraid of anything. Stop trying to think your 9 to 5 job is going to save you. Stop trying to think you got to rush and hustle to do things. You have a continent and you have Caribbean islands that you can also do if anything ever happens, but you also have a continent you can help build. Use your knowledge from the West, use your knowledge from anywhere you go around the world to help develop your countries, because they took everything from you hundreds of years ago and to this day, and still using to this day to build your medicines, your hospitals, and your doctors, your lawyers. They use every part of your culture, your craft, your medicines, and they turn around and make it and call it evil and demonic, but they still use it. But then they call, look at their shows. If you look at their shows, what do you call it, witches or Lucifer, they make demonic shows and they make you watch it thinking it's nothing, but yet your ways of life is demonic. Your temples are demonic and everything. So I'm going off on a tangent, but I'm just trying to give you many different examples of knowledge to feed you. And if you also look at one more thing, if you look at, ask yourself this question: if your way of life is so bad, if your temples are so bad, then how come none, and whether you're not part of it, you could be part of any religious group, how come anyone who's part of any religious group and they have temples, how come they don't destroy their temples? The Chinese destroy their temples? Do the Indians destroy their temples? Do any most cultures, do they destroy their temples? Whether they're not part of the temples, they're part of any religious sect, do they destroy their temples? So you see, for me, you can still be part of religion, but also honor and respect your temples. If you don't, then ask yourself that question: how come no culture does it? How come no one demonizes the other people's culture and say that their temples are bad? The Chinese, when they're looking at in their temples, when they're dealing with the dragon, do they say it's fantasy or demonic or anything? Do they say with the Indian culture, is it demonic? So we have to look at ourselves holistically and ask ourselves, what do we want to do? Stop showing off. Stop trying to have this behavioral problem. Look at the African traditions and the African family. We have to protect our brother at all cost. And this is what they don't want. They want you to live in fear. They'll do every little thing and every single thing to cancel you, to make sure that you have nothing, but they make sure you rely on money, you rely on them. They'll bankrupt you, they'll do anything so you live in fear and you're controlled back into the matrix, is what they call it. As what you're just a robot that is dependent, and that's the word they use, dependent. They don't want you to be independent from them. It's always to be dependent on them. That's the word they've always used. And they'll tell you, we are all human beings, we are all this, we come together. So ask yourself, we're all these things. How come that they demonize your own brother? So I'll leave it as that, and you decide.